At the moment, the chandelier fell. Mary pushed me towards death to protect another man. The chandelier came crashing down, and I was struck, blood pouring from my head. Yet I laughed maniacally inside because that bastard who had taken over my body had finally failed in his conquest and was mercilessly erased by the system. Having regained control of my body, I no longer wished to look at Mary even once, but she stopped me with red eyes. "Is it you back? Kiss him, kiss him." Amidst the crowd, teasing, my cheeks flushed, but I knew well that Mary would not kiss me. She loved me to the core, although we were boyfriend and girlfriend. Every accidental touch made her feel as disgusted as if she had seen a fly. Mary stood in the shadows with a wine glass in hand, her face obscured, only to hear her say, "No kiss, then you owe me a drink." She had already drunk too much. Drinking more might hurt her stomach. Though unwilling, she still slowly leaned in. The citrus scent on her body wafted over, and I nervously closed my eyes. This was my first kiss. However, the next second, a glass of wine was splashed over me, and I couldn't open my eyes. The liquid slid down my face, and I couldn't tell if it was wine or tears. "Is this how you want to kiss me?" She downed it in one go, a mocking smile curling her lips. "I'd rather drink myself to death than touch you." The liquid flowed into her collar, damp and sticky. I stood up and walked towards the door, and she coldly said, "If you dare to leave, we're breaking up." I really wanted to slap her 10 times and storm out, but I could only obediently return because 2 years ago, when I woke up from a high fever, I lost control of my body. Now, inside my body is another person, and if he doesn't successfully win over Mary, he will be erased by the system. For the past 2 years, he has been fawning over Mary like a little lapdog, fighting for her, neglecting his studies. In the middle of the night, with just one phone call from her, he disregards his gastritis to buy her drinks at the bar. She snuggles in another man's arms but glances at me, who is being forced to drink. What a good dog. At that moment, a waiter came in to serve the dishes and walked beside me. The chandelier above suddenly fell. "George!" Mary rushed towards us. My heart raced like a drum, filled with hope that she was coming to save me. However, she quickly lunged at the waiter, using her body to shield him. Bang! The headlights crashed down on me, and the surrounding crowd erupted in boos. Pain spread through me. The smell of blood surged, and Mary stood up, smiled at me, and said, "My boyfriend is so kind. He must be leaving the chance to be saved for someone else." She deliberately emphasized the words boyfriend just to humiliate me. She would rather save a stranger than save me, her nominal boyfriend. But I breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully, she didn't save me because this was the last chance for the strategist. If the strategy fails, the host will be erased. The system prompt sounded, and I felt gradually disappear. I tried to raise my hand to touch the wound. My heart filled with wild joy. I finally did it. That bastard had occupied my body for 2 years, and during those 2 years, I felt like I was being tormented in hell. I couldn't stop laughing, running around the private room, 3 times with my head covered in blood, so excited that I kept bumping into the walls. Mary looked dumbfounded, and everyone thought I'd gone mad, urging me, "George, try to relax." I laughed even harder, unable to catch my breath, and fainted. Waking up in the hospital, I still had a smile on my face. Unexpectedly, I saw Mary by the bedside. She set up a small table and opened the takeout. Not dead, huh? I ignored her, but the plain hospital meal brought tears to my eyes. After 2 years, I could finally eat by myself. Mary laughed mockingly. "Is getting a meal for me enough to make you this emotional fool?" Mary, seemingly having a change of heart, became considerate towards me, carefully blowing on the chicken soup to cool it down. "You know Mike, right? He's in the debate club with you. Just thought I'd mention it, and I want to pursue him." I sneered, so that's how it is. She's always been like this, only sweet to me when she needs something. I used to foolishly run around for her. I raised my hand and slapped her. I wanted to do that for 3 years, and it felt great. She was stunned, her tongue licking her swollen cheek, forcing a smile. "You mimic him quite well." A cold glare shot towards me. "Too bad the more you learn, the more I feel disgusted." "What am I learning?" What madness is this? Returning to the debate club felt like stepping into another world. At the Saturday meeting, everyone was surprised to see me standing at the door. I nervously wrung my hands and asked, "I'm not late, am I?" Someone sneered. "Looks like George the Romantic took a wrong turn. Why aren't you with your girlfriend instead of coming to the debate club?" I didn't dare to retort. They had every reason to dislike me back then. During the international debate competition, that strategist was called away by a phone call from Mary. I was supposed to be the fourth speaker, but because he fled at the last minute, our school suffered a crushing defeat. Ironically, I rushed over only to find Mary, who was supposedly suffering from severe menstrual cramps, happily drinking with her friends. Her friend teased, "You really came?" She shot me a disdainful glance and lazily said, "I won this bet." Since that day, I haven't returned to the debate club. I mustered the courage to walk in. I haven't resigned. I'm still a member of the debate club. Someone stood up excitedly. "Now you're a member of the debate club." Back then, enough President Lucy said sharply, "He hasn't withdrawn from the club and is qualified to attend the regular meeting." She looked at me, her gaze indifferent, as if I were a stranger. Emotions surged within me, and I was on the verge of tears. Lucy was my ex-girlfriend. I broke up with her on the first day the strategist arrived. With unwavering resolve, when she pleaded, I never looked back. That time at the debate competition, I was leaving when Lucy grabbed my arm and pleaded, "George, I'm asking you one more time, are you really going to leave for her today, even if you no longer like me? Debating has always been your dream." The strategist spoke in my voice now. "Mary is my dream." These words made her weep uncontrollably, and with pride, she let go. Her small figure crouched in the corner of the wall. Nowadays, there are others around her. Mike glanced at her cautiously and smoothed things over. "Yeah, George is still a part of the debate club after all." Mike joined the debate club just for Lucy. He was average at debating, but good at socializing, and within a year, he became the vice president. Naturally, sitting next to Lucy, he scoffed, "George, you came at just the right time. I just ordered afternoon tea for everyone. Can you go and pick it up?" Someone echoed, "Yeah, even if you joined the club early, you're just an ordinary member now, so you should run errands." Lucy glanced at me, but said nothing. During afternoon tea, for 21 people, I wanted to get it myself. He was clearly trying to make things difficult for me, but I deserved it. I nodded in agreement. The milk tea for 21 people was heavier than I imagined, so I had to take it in several trips. Just as I was feeling sore, Mary came over, glanced at the takeout order, and chuckled with her hands in her pockets. "Is this for the debate club? Wasn't that day pretty impressive? Now aren't you obediently back in the debate club, helping me chase after Mike?" As soon as she finished speaking, a hand reached out to grab the milk tea, but paused. I turned around and saw Lucy. She heard it. Mike grabbed her. "I told you she has ulterior motives for returning to the debate club, but you didn't believe me and insisted on helping her." Lucy was silent for a few seconds, then coldly took the milk tea from my hand. No matter why he returned to the debate club, there's no reason for him to take 21 servings of milk tea by himself. "Wait." I held her hand and took out a cup of milk tea from the takeout bag, smiling as I shook it towards Mary. "Mary, your favorite mint milk green." Over the past 2 years, through cold winters and scorching summers, I have run countless errands for Mary to buy this milk tea. She wouldn't let me order takeout, insisting, "The delivery guy can't run as fast as you." At that moment, she sneered sarcastically. "Are you sick? Am I craving someone else's milk tea?" The next second, the milk tea splashed across her face, dripping down her hair, face, and clothes. She wiped her face, staring at me in disbelief. I smiled playfully. "This cup of mint milk green that you love, bought by Mike, is my breakup gift to you. Do you like it?" I turned to the stunned Mike and said, "They'll pay you back for this cup of milk tea. Besides, I'm only going back to the debate club for the debates." I no longer looked at Mary and turned to grab the remaining milk tea at the school gate, but she pulled me. Back her, eyes wide with anger. She warned, "This is the last time I'm telling you. Don't learn from him. If there's a next time, don't blame me for being rude." I kicked Mary in the stomach with all my strength, and she doubled over, clutching her belly in pain. I looked down at her disdainfully. This is my last warning to you. I haven't learned from anyone. Then I frowned in disgust. It's been 4 years, and you still haven't improved at fighting at all. She looked up as if shocked, her eyes red, just like when we first met. I first met Mary not in college, but after evening study in our sophomore year of high school. She was surrounded by a few students from another school in an alley, 5 against 1. Just as a slap was about to land on her face, I stepped in to help. After that group dispersed, she sat down as if she had fallen apart. Hey. As I turned to leave, she called out to me. I looked back, and she was sitting under the dim streetlight, her eyes glistening as she stared at me for a long time. I remember you, she said. Thoughts gathered. I no longer paid attention to the stunned Mary and headed back to the debate club with my milk tea. But Lucy was not there. Having delayed too long with Mary, a younger student angrily yanked the bag from my hand. Both presidents want to help you, and you're still doling over getting a milk tea. What else can you do besides dating? I retorted. You're a freshman. I'm a junior. Can you call me senior if you can't even call people? What can you do? He was taken aback, sulking as he slammed the milk tea on the table, suddenly shouting, 1 cup is missing. So senior, not only can you date, but you can also steal. He emphasized the word senior with pride, his voice loud enough to make everyone turn to look at me. Seriously, just because there's none for him and stealing sips on the way? It turns out the debate club was stealing takeout. I said I had just agreed so readily. Mike lowered his head, the corners of his mouth slightly curled, showing no intention of helping me. I started to explain. I just accidentally spilled a cup. I've already bought a new one, and I'll go pick it up when it arrives. The junior rolled his eyes and complained. You could spill a cup of milk tea? You can't even handle this little thing, and now we're short 1 cup. How awkward is that? It's just delaying things. I felt embarrassed, and my face turned red. Actually, I just accidentally spilled a cup, so George, don't take the blame from me. A familiar voice sounded, and the conference room fell silent in an instant. I turned around and saw the missing Lucy. She came running, sweat beading on her forehead, her voice slightly breathless. She shook 2 bottles of sparkling water in her hand. You guys drink milk tea? He'll have this with him. She shook a bottle of sparkling water into my hand and said in a businesslike manner, buy 1, get 1 free. I'm helping you without any ulterior motives. If I don't step in, this cup of milk tea will take half an hour to get. I hate wasting time the most. I stared at the sparkling water in a daze. This was my favorite white peach oolong flavor, and she still remembered. A cup of milk tea was handed to me, and Mike smiled innocently. I really like this flavor of sparkling water. Can I trade you for the milk tea? He probably doesn't like sparkling water, but rather it's because Lucy bought it. Everyone's gaze fell on us, and a few boys looked at me with piercing eyes, as if they would beat me up if I refused. I was in a difficult position. I didn't want to change, but refusing would offend the debate club. Just as I was about to agree, Lucy said, your milk tea has ice in it, and he has gastroenteritis, so he can't drink anything cold. I was surprised that she still remembered my old problem. Also, the supermarket has an entire shelf of sparkling water. You can have as much as you want. After Mike awkwardly laughed a couple of times, he lowered his head in embarrassment to drink his milk tea. Lucy led me to the conference table. Let's start the regular meeting. As soon as I sat down, she opened a bottle of sparkling water and handed it to me. Noticing my surprised expression, she said flatly, I opened the wrong one. I thought it was mine. A subtle feeling stirred in my heart. Could it be that she still likes me? But as she calmly presided over the meeting, I realized I was overthinking it because she was clearly targeting me. The main focus of this regular meeting was on new members, with the theme being a basic explanation of debate. The usually calm Lucy turned the meeting into a personal interview for me. This was highly unprofessional and not like her at all. When discussing the formation and rise and fall of the debate World Cup, her piercing gaze fell on me. George, what was the topic of the 2018 debate World Cup final? That debate was one we both loved and had watched countless times. When it came to breaking down the topic and establishing arguments, she used the debate topics we had tackled together to question me. Her eyes were fixed on me, calm yet turbulent. I didn't understand her intentions and only felt anger. Did she think I had forgotten all of this? By the time I answered her question for the 8th time, the new members had noticed the subtle atmosphere. They whispered, "What's going on between George and the president?" Someone lowered their voice and replied, "Ex-boyfriend. He dumped the president. Seamless transition. Wow, isn't that cheating? What a jerk." This was the first time I saw Lucy get angry. She tapped the blackboard heavily with her knuckles, her gaze serious and her voice low. "No talking. Questions can only be raised during the Q&A session. This is basic etiquette for a debate competition. Did you just let what I said go in one ear and out the other?" The two fell silent in shame. Indeed, she must particularly dislike this disgraceful past. After the meeting, Lucy seemed especially exhausted. Her voice even. "George, I once thought I knew you well, understood your tastes, dreams, strengths, and weaknesses, but then I realized that I seemed to have never truly seen you, and I even felt like I knew nothing about you." Her eyes were filled with pain, just like now. "I'm not sure if you're still the same George, and I have no idea why you came back here. I feel uncomfortable inside, and of course, you can't understand because we are two different people." I struggled to speak. Actually, Mike pushed the door open and walked in. He smiled at us with his eyes squinted. "Lucy, it's time to go. If we stay any longer, your mom will start to worry." She replied softly, "Okay." I swallowed my explanations again. They had come this far. What was the point of explaining? She looked at me as if waiting for an answer. I opened my mouth and finally said, "If you can't understand, then don't look. Just pay attention to the people around you." She seemed to laugh in anger. "All right then. Today is the first time in 2 years that I am participating in a debate competition. Mike is on the affirmative side, and I am on the negative side. Everyone is cheering him on. Vice President, go for it. Leave no trace behind." Can the vice president really debate? That's still better than being a coward. I didn't say a word, watching Mike's face show signs of fear. My heart was filled only with excitement and a desire to win. Only by winning beautifully could I return to the school debate team and compete at a higher level. I hardly gave Mike a chance to breathe, pressing him step by step, leaving him speechless during the debate phase. He gritted his teeth, lowered his head, and his fingers turned white from gripping the pen. When I finished speaking, there was a moment of silence in the room, followed by thunderous applause. The outcome was already decided, and in the audience, Mary clapped the loudest. I was speechless. Did this silly girl really understand? Mike lost, so why was she clapping and so loudly? The debate ended, and Mike's face was ashen with anger. Everyone gathered around to comfort him. George was a bit too harsh just now. "Yeah, it's just an internal training match, so why take it so seriously?" He sat despondently in the shadows, reaching out to grab Lucy, his Adam's apple rolling with difficulty. "Lucy," I didn't want to watch them being all lovey-dovey, so I turned to leave, but Mary blocked my way. I was speechless. "Are you blind?" "Mike is over there." Her eyes began to redden. "Is it you back?" I was taken aback. It seemed like she knew that it wasn't me who was in my body before. She suddenly smiled, tears trembling on the verge of falling from her eyes. "It's you, isn't it? It was George who saved me 4 years ago, the George who dominated the debate stage." A wave of emotion surged within me. She truly remembered me. As she said, even though my body was occupied by another, she knew that was not me. I nodded gently, and a tear fell from her eyes like a heavy blow. "I'm sorry I didn't recognize you at first glance." She seemed unable to hold back any longer, stepping forward to embrace me tightly. "You're back. I'm so happy. I thought I would never see you again." The Mary who always hated being touched was now warmly hugging me, as if afraid I would disappear, wanting to bind me to her securely. I was momentarily stunned. Having chased after Mary for the past 2 years, I had seen her in various states, frowning in disgust, dismissive with fierce eyes, but I had never seen her so cautious and gentle. I didn't notice that in the distance, Lucy was slowly prying Mike's hand apart, getting so down over losing an internal training match. "It seems your mindset is worse than your skills." However, when she turned and walked towards me, she saw me tightly embraced by Mary. She stopped in her tracks, her fist clenched and then relaxed, and then clenched again. Finally, she turned and threw the thing she had prepared to give me into the trash can, looking down and laughing at herself. "Lucy, why are you so cheap?" she said to herself. I coldly said, "You've had enough, let go." The usually defiant little princess, Mary, obediently released her grip, as docile as a kitten. I sneered. "What are you pretending to be so sentimental for? Just a couple of days ago, you liked Mike, didn't you?" She shook her head anxiously. "I didn't." Her expression was desolate. I said, "I wanted to pursue him because he resembles you a bit. Also, because I really hate the person inside your body. The more he wants something, the less I will give it to him. I was puzzled why he treats you so well." She gave a self-deprecating smile. "He treats me well because I have what he wants. He verbally says he loves me, but he doesn't actually like me at all." She was silent, her gaze seemingly intertwined with countless emotions, and finally spoke softly. "I also have someone I like, so I know what it looks like to have feelings for someone." He approached me with a purpose, just like many others around me. Every time he looked at me, it was as if he was looking at a trophy. I'm too familiar with such a face. Once I get my heart, he would crush it mercilessly. More importantly, I always thought he was the one who caused her death, so I hate him. She struggled to force a smile, but there were tears in her eyes. "For the past 2 years, I've tried every way to torment him, wanting to avenge you. But seeing him in pain also hurts me because it's your body that suffers. I'm so afraid you won't come back. I'm also afraid that if you do come back, you'll hate me." She cautiously asked, "George, do you hate me very much now?" I remained silent for a long time, unsure how to respond. Finally, I raised my hand and gently patted her slightly trembling back. We didn't notice that Mike was staring at Mary, his eyes filled with anger as if he could burn. I successfully rejoined the school debate team and represented the school in the preliminary round of the International Debate Championship. During the debate club meeting, as I walked into the conference room, I found that each seat at the table had a cup of Starbucks coffee and a delicate little cake. Everyone was excited. The afternoon tea setup is too extravagant. Today, you really went all out to boost morale. Mike shook his head. I didn't buy it. Mary walked in carrying a large bag of fruit. I treated everyone. The previous incident with George has nothing to do with him. It's all my fault, and I apologize to everyone. Let's cheer for the competition. From now on, we'll have afternoon tea like this every day. If anyone wants something to eat, just let me know anytime." Everyone cheered. Mike's gaze lingered on Mary for a long time, and after a while, he sneered. "Mary is really generous and considerate toward her boyfriend." Lucy stared at the snacks with a serious face. The debate club is not a tea restaurant. Mary wasn't angry. She provocatively smiled. "Then treat everyone to dinner. You can choose the place." "That's enough." I glared at Mary. "Come out with me." I asked bluntly, "What are you doing?" Mary lost her earlier momentum. "I'm afraid they might make things difficult for you because of what happened before." She looked at me seriously. "I always made you run errands for me before. Now you can return the favor. You can scold me, boss me around, insult me. I've even prepared the drinks. You can throw them at me anytime." I sighed. "You don't need to do this. I don't blame you for the past." She was silent for a few seconds, her eyelashes fluttering. "You don't hate me anymore?" I nodded. "And you don't like me, right?" I nodded again. She looked sad but still tried to smile. "So I want to pursue you. I want you to like me." She was very stubborn. "George, I don't want to just be your friend." From then on, Mary was more punctual for afternoon tea than we were. No matter how much I scolded her or gave her the cold shoulder, she accepted it with a smile, resolutely unchanged. I didn't know that at that time, Lucy always watched from a distance as Mary and I argued, her head bowed in loneliness. Our school successfully broke through in the preliminaries and entered the finals. To celebrate, the debate club had a dinner party over the weekend. Lucy, who usually doesn't drink at all, ended up drinking a lot, and no one could persuade her to stop. In the end, she got so drunk that she was out cold. Mike patted her back sympathetically and said, "They'll take her home. I've already called her sister." Those words made me retract my hand that was reaching out to help her. After all, They had met the parents and were just one layer of window paper away from being a couple. What right did I, her ex-boyfriend, have watching Mike help her into the car? I downed the drink in my glass. It was so spicy that it made me want to cry. After the dinner party ended, I didn't take a taxi and strolled home slowly, only to find Lucy, who Mike had taken home, sitting at my doorstep. I crouched down to look at her, and she seemed to be asleep. Lucy lost her usual seriousness and looked as innocent as a child. I poked her in the chest and complained, "I don't know how big your heart is. You usually act like you have a lot on your mind, and now that you're asleep, you're still frowning." As I spoke, I reached out to smooth her furrowed brow. She suddenly opened her eyes, and my wrist was caught by her. I felt a sense of shame, as if I had been caught doing something wrong, and hurriedly pulled my hand back. But she held on too tightly, and when I exerted some force, she slipped and fell to the ground with a loud thud. I quickly helped her up. "Are you okay? Did you hurt anywhere?" She was heavily intoxicated and didn't answer me, just kept saying, "What'd it do? What'd it do? It's broken, it's broken." I was worried she might break it and anxiously asked, "What broke?" She pulled out a piece of half-cooked cheese that had turned to mush, her eyes red with panic. "The half-cooked cheese is broken. It's over. You won't forgive me." My heart tightened instantly. When we first started dating, every time we argued, she took it as seriously as a debate, insisting on winning or losing, which made me ignore her for several days. She panicked, and no matter what, I refused to accept it. I stubbornly wouldn't forgive her. I was just hungry and ate a piece of half-cooked cheese she bought. She almost moved the store to apologize in front of me. At that time, I held back a laugh and asked her, "In the future, will you still bring up rebuttal 1, 2, and 3 during arguments?" She shook her head like a rattle drum. "Then what should I do?" After thinking for a long time, she said, "Admit your mistake. Apologize with half-cooked cheese." It made me laugh in anger. I just didn't expect her to really turn this into a habit. Later on, after that strategist broke up with her, she waited all night with a big pile of half-cooked cheese downstairs in the dormitory. But he stepped on the cheese and spat. "Who wants to eat this kind of thing?" I took a big bite of the crumbled cheese and said, "It's okay. It can still be eaten even if it's broken." She grabbed my hand, pressing her forehead against mine, the heat and the smell of alcohol mingling. She choked back tears and said, "My heart isn't very big. It only holds you, George. I don't want to see anyone else." Tears fell from her eyes, landing on the back of my hand. "Please, can you not eat the cake that others buy for you? I have money too. I can buy it for you." It took me a moment to realize she was still thinking about Mary buying afternoon tea. As she spoke, she tried to pull out money but couldn't find a single bill, panicking and crying, "What should I do? It seems I have no money. This half-baked cheese might be something I stole." "Silly girl, it's all mobile payments now." I comforted her. "It's okay. I like you even without money." She leaned in closer, pressing against me, enveloped by her sweet scent. Her gaze was intense. "What did you say? Even if you have no money, I still like you." My words were swallowed by her, savored, and then swallowed down. She burrowed into my embrace, her warm palm wrapping around my neck. Her body heat and scent surged over me, seeping into my blood, flowing back to my heart. The next day, I was woken up by her, phone vibrating incessantly. I sat up and watched her tiptoe back after finishing the call. "Did Mike find out about your affair?" She was so angry, she almost smashed her phone. "What nonsense are you talking about?" "My sister." On the third day, I said meaningfully, "All right, your sister and Mike are on the same team." She leaned against the door frame and smiled playfully. "What do you mean by on the same team? What are you imagining?" He just came to my house a few times to tutor my sister in English. On the fourth day, I asked, "Are you jealous?" I stubbornly replied, "No." She walked over with a good-natured smile and kissed me. "Okay, you're not jealous. I was just happy for nothing." Then she sadly lowered her head. "But have you ever been jealous of her? Has she ever kissed you like this?" On the fifth day, I kissed the corner of her mouth. "I know I've never liked her." She looked up in shock. I thought that when I talked to her about the strategy for crossing over, she would think I was crazy, but she listened as seriously as if she were at a debate competition. I joked, You're not planning to send me to some mental hospital, are you? She shook her head and held my hand with concern. You've had such a hard time these past 2 years. I would rather you had really fallen in love with Mary, willingly giving up everything for her. At least that would be something you wanted to do. I don't want to see you helplessly watching your life get messed up, not even seeing the end of the pain. Then, with guilt, her eyes turned red. I'm sorry I couldn't help you when you were struggling. I even got angry with you when you came back. She raised her hand seriously and vowed, Lucy will always unconditionally stand by George from now on. The tears I had been holding back surged forth. Before telling her, I had thought of many possible reactions from her, shock or anger, but I never expected it to be filled with such deep concern. The International Debate Championship Final was held in Australia. This competition was crucial for me, and I desperately needed a big win to wash away my dark history. On the day of departure, after getting into the taxi to the airport, I uncontrollably fell into a deep sleep. I woke up in horror to find myself almost naked in a themed room at the hotel. Struggling to sit up while clutching the blanket, I saw the person in front of me and was not surprised. It was Mike. He was fiercely whipping Mary. I thought you didn't like me, and I tried my best to please you, but I didn't expect that for the past 2 years you were deliberately tormenting me, ultimately leading to my erasure. He drew stripes of bruises on Mary every day. You gave me the cold shoulder, and as soon as he returned, you were all over him. So now you can take these hits for him. Noticing my gaze, he turned his head to stare at me. I remained calm. So it's really you, and your target this time is Lucy, right? He laughed. You're quite impressive, but it doesn't really matter. He held my phone screen in front of me, showing the chat. There's a story between me and Lucy. He had sent her 2 messages using my phone. One was a photo of me and Mary sleeping together, and the other was a text message. Lucy, you're still as foolish as you were back then. Do you really believe in things like time travel? I won't be going to the finals this time. I'm having a great time with Mary while you play. I was so angry I could almost grind my back teeth to dust. Oh, by the way, I also helped you post something on Moments, so now everyone knows that George, who fled 2 years ago for a woman, is now abandoning the entire debate team to check into a love hotel with Mary. But he swayed the call lock. I've already received the call. I'm about to take your place in the competition you've always dreamed of, fighting alongside your girlfriend. She won't be your girlfriend for much longer. Tears streamed down my face, and rage nearly burst from my chest. You're breaking the law. I spoke each word with a heart full of sorrow. He laughed maniacally. Breaking the law? I exchanged my remaining strategy opportunities for rewards with the system. It will erase all traces of me from the surveillance. He looked down at me condescendingly. I have the system, and you have nothing. How can you possibly win against me? With a flick of his hand, my head uncontrollably sank again. Enjoy this last peaceful sleep. When you wake up, Lucy and the championship will both be mine. George, wake up. Wake up. I looked at Mary's face in front of me, feeling a bit dazed. Where am I? At the airport. The airport. Yes, the flight is at 8:30 p.m. You can still make it to tomorrow's debate. I lowered my eyes and smiled self-deprecatingly. But they don't need me anymore. She proudly took out a tiny recorder, her eyes shining. Of course they need you. He can erase the surveillance, but I recorded it. George, you've waited 2 years for this competition. You have to go and win beautifully. I looked at her left hand, which was wrapped in bandages. What happened to your hand? She hid that hand away. It's nothing, just a small injury. When I hurried to the hotel, the debate team was holding their final pre-match meeting. Mike was familiarizing himself with the arguments I had spent countless nights thinking about. Preparing to take my place on stage, I stood at the door, trembling with anger, gritting my teeth as I pushed the door open. As soon as they saw me, the members of the school debate team almost lunged at me to tear me apart. How dare you come back? Do you think we're a joke? A flicker of panic crossed Mike's eyes, but he quickly replaced it with a righteous expression. He sternly accused me. George, what do you think this competition is? What do you think debating is? And what do you think Lucy is? Just a pastime for you when you're bored. Lucy stood quietly at the far end of the room, her face pale and haggard, her eyes bloodshot. She gazed at me with a look of despair and pity. I looked at her, emotions surging, unable to hold back my tears. I didn't back out at the last minute, and I tried to, you never. She started to cry, not saying a word. Mike stood up and pushed me toward the door. You leave. No one here wants you, and the debate team can win without you. I pushed Mike to the ground, each word ringing out clearly. It's you. You locked me up and pretended to be me to send that message and post on Moments. Mike pointed at my nose and scolded me. George, do you even believe what you're saying? Yes. You're better at debating than I am. This competition has always been about you coming and going as you please. I just returned your position to you. So why do you have to throw dirt on me? Everyone stood on his side, full of lies. Although Mike isn't as good at debating as you, his character is 1,000 times better than yours. We don't care if you come back now, just get lost. I just stared at Lucy, asking her word by word. Do you believe me? She looked at me quietly and after a moment firmly replied, I believe you. Mike stood up in disbelief, roaring, he can't produce any evidence, and based solely on his word. You're convicting me. Lucy, you're studying law. Have you forgotten the presumption of innocence? She walked over to me, took my hand, and said, I haven't forgotten, but I remember even more that I promised you I would always stand by your side unconditionally. Who said he has no evidence? Mary rushed in. She glanced at the tightly clasped hands of Lucy and me, her expression darkening. Sorry, my English isn't good. It took so long to settle the taxi fare. She walked up to Mike and pulled out the tiny recorder. This is the recording of Mike imprisoning Ju Ji and beating me. Mike's face turned pale instantly. Mary smiled slightly. Now let me give everyone a taste of our charming, beloved Vice President Mike. Before she could finish her sentence, Mike lunged forward and smashed the recorder to pieces. Then he slapped Mary across the face and grabbed her collar, shouting, Idiot! How many times do you want to kill me before you're satisfied? Don't you like him that much? I created such a good opportunity for you. As long as Lucy breaks up with him, I'll be with you sooner or later. Mary smiled. What do people like you know about true affection? She lifted her head, laughing until tears fell. When I like someone, I want to give them the ending they desire most. Mike turned around and hugged Lucy, crying bitterly. This is my last chance to win her over. Please let me take George's place in this competition, or I will be completely erased. Lucy looked down at him. Completely erased? Does that mean you can never exist in any form in this world again? He nodded vigorously. George not participating in this competition won't matter, but I will truly die. Lucy squatted down. In that case, he saw hope and pleaded through his tears. Please, I really don't want to die. Lucy smiled and said word by word. That's really great. He was momentarily stunned, then suddenly burst into wild laughter. Finally, he clattered to the ground, completely silent. The others were terrified. Is he dead? I shook my head. Let's get him to the hospital. The RA Mike should be back soon. That ended that competition. Our school was the champion. I won the Best Debater award. After returning to the country, Mike submitted his resignation from the debate club to Lucy. He coolly tossed his hair and said, I joined this debate club for you, but I didn't expect you to be so blind. This handsome guy's been chasing you for 2 years, and you still like him? It was only after my body was occupied by someone else that I realized how wonderful it is to be alive. I won't waste my beautiful life on you any longer. After saying that, he turned and left, waving his hand at us over his shoulder. Lucy smiled and took my hand. He makes a good point. I can't waste such a beautiful life, either. I raised an eyebrow. So what? She looked up at me, her eyes sparkling. So, I'm going to rely on you for the rest of my life. Mary's family is very wealthy, and her home in Los Angeles, USA, is so large that she often got lost as a child. Her parents were always away for various reasons, and she often thought about this as a child, crying herself to sleep alone. Later, she grew up and even began to wish her parents wouldn't come home, because when they did, it was just arguments, and sometimes they would even resort to violence. Dad had other women outside, and Mom had her own lovers. Only she, whether at home or outside, was a lonely person. In fact, she has many friends, but she never considers them true friends because they're not interested in being friends with her as a person, but rather in being friends with her money. They only cozy up to her during dinner bill time or subtly hint at their desire for a coveted designer bag when their birthday is approaching. In those moments, they seem like her most sincere friends, but Mary knows that behind her back, they secretly call her that rich sucker. She knows, but she doesn't really mind. After all, they at least make her look less lonely. In high school, Mary didn't like studying, but she especially loved fighting. The day she met George, she and a friend were cornered by a group of enemies in a dimly lit alley in Los Angeles. Those people didn't look friendly and were armed. Her friend trembled and pointed at her, saying, "She's the one who messed with you. It has nothing to do with me." Then she quickly ran away. Mary had never seen anyone run that fast. She thought she would be beaten to death or left crippled. If she died, would her parents be sad? She thought this when she received the first slap. Probably not. She shook her head and laughed self-deprecatingly. She even felt that dying like this in a fight was pretty cool. At least there were many people with her. She was just too afraid to be alone. So when the next slap came, she calmly turned her face to meet it, but the anticipated pain did not come. That slap was intercepted by someone she recognized. He was the good student, George, who was always receiving awards on the school podium. She never expected he would actually fight, and that he was quite skilled at it, looking at his face illuminated by the dim street light. Mary felt as if a piece of her heart had sunk. She originally thought that George saved her to get close to her, just like those before him. But he wasn't. After he turned and walked away that day, he never sought her out again. It was as if he had forgotten about her entirely. But Mary couldn't forget him. She could never forget him. Since then, she began to uncontrollably pay attention to George. She found that he had excellent grades and was very fond of debating. Mary had attended many of his debates, and she wasn't one to compliment people easily, but she felt that his debating skills were as impressive as his fighting skills. She sensed that something was slowly sprouting and growing in her heart, becoming more and more lush. Later, she would come to realize that it was called affection. At that time, she only knew that she wanted George to be well, so she had someone beat up the people who had blocked her that day, warning them not to disturb George. She herself didn't dare to disturb him, so she always watched from a distance, not even having the courage to talk to him. After that, Mary never fought again and devoted herself to studying fiercely. She wanted to attend the same university as George, standing proudly by his side. No one expected that the once aimless and reckless girl could score so high on the college entrance exam. Even though she could only apply for the lowest rank major at the university George attended, Mary knew George's class schedule better than anyone else. Every day, she racked her brains to create opportunities for a chance encounter with him. She finally managed to become his friend, but they were only friends because George soon got together with someone else. That day, Mary drank herself nearly to death. She originally thought that she could only be his friend for a lifetime, but George suddenly broke up and confessed his feelings to her. Although this happiness came in a rather strange way, Mary was still incredibly happy. They quickly got together, but she soon realized that something was off. He is not George at all. Mary knows George. No matter how much he loves someone, he would never give up debating or himself for her. The boy who came to save her under the moonlight that night has disappeared. In his place is this man who has ulterior motives towards her. What he seems to want is her love. He flatters her time and again, hoping to make her love him. Oh, Mary trampled on his dignity and sincerity time and again because he truly disgusted her. Sometimes she looked at the man who obeyed her every word and thought he was really stupid. He didn't have to do anything at all. He just needed to imitate George, and she would obediently fall in love with him. But her George might never come back. When Mary saw Mike on the debate stage, it was as if she saw George's shadow. She wanted to grasp him, even if it was just a little. Shadow. So she told the strategist that she wanted to pursue Mike and ask for his help, but she didn't expect him to refuse her harshly. His disdainful attitude towards her was strikingly similar to George. She originally thought he was imitating George, But she gradually discovered with surprise that George seemed to have returned that day. She sat in the audience listening to his debate, tears streaming down her face, because she finally confirmed that George really had come back. But he was still the George who didn't like her. No matter how hard she tried, he still didn't like her. The strategist was right. He created the best opportunity for her. That was the closest she had ever been to George. As long as he successfully pursued Lucy, George might really be with her. But she couldn't do that. George had waited for 2 whole years for that match. After that man hypnotized her, she struggled to carve countless wounds on her hand with a knife. The smell of blood and the pain crazily stimulated her nerves, causing large drops of sweat to bead on her forehead. She thought the more it hurt, the better. She couldn't sleep. She had to repay George for that match. She owed him. The man was wrong. He had a system, but George had nothing, had her love. She would make him. She certainly would. When she arrived at the hotel, she had deliberately made herself late. For so long, she had been standing outside the door, and if Lucy didn't believe George, then she would never let them be together again. But Lucy chose George, and at that moment, Mary felt both happy and sad. She was happy that someone would accompany George on his journey from now on, but sad that she had truly lost him forever. Mary deliberately let that man smash the recorder because it was something she casually bought on her way to the airport, and it was empty inside. She understood that strategist. He was the most impatient one. She wanted to take a gamble for her beloved boy. She won some and lost some, but it didn't matter as long as George won.